My guest at this time, he is a legend in the pro wrestling community. He's also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. He is Ron Simmons, and he's nice enough to give us a few moments here on the line. Ron, how are you?
I'm doing very well. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Appreciate a couple minutes here. I guess I'll start with coming into the NWA and teaming with Butch Reed as a team of doom. Can you talk a little bit about when you first came into the NWA?
Well, of course, I come up into there from starting out in Florida. So I did some wrestling there, enjoyed the championship, and then into the NWA and knocked around with various partners there. And before, Butch and I had did some tags and worked on some shots together before we talked about teaming. And actually, I think it was Dusty Rose that suggested that maybe we would make a good tag team, and pretty similar in build and style of wrestling. And so we, put it together and see how things would work. And fortunately for both of us, it worked out very well, man. And that was, I think, if not the best, or close to being the best partner that I think I've had as far as when it comes to tag team.
When you first came in, you and Butch came in under the mask, and you were managed by a woman. Can you talk a little bit about her and what that was like?
Oh man, I'm sure we fooled a lot of people now. When we were under that hood. How can you tell us apart, right?
Right.
Like two big, large black men, the only two in the NWA, right? So we fooled a lot of people when we were under the mask, right? But no, that went very well. We were very successful at that though, and of course, with woman, it didn't hurt to have a pretty lady at our side doing that, and that went real well. I mean, we had a good run. We had a lot of good things going, man, with the Steiners, with the Road Warriors, and I mean, Rock and Roll Express. Those were probably the best years when it came to tag team that I think that I had been involved in by far, because we had a lot of good opponents, man. A lot of good opponents,
When you look back on the tag teams, just like you said, you had a lot of good opponents. I mean, nowadays, when I go back and look at some of the tapes, I can't believe how many tag teams were around these days. Why do you think these days the tag team wrestling isn't as successful, or why don't you see as much of it, say, in WWE?
Well, one of the reasons, man, is that, during that time, the people actually came and they saw you wrestle. There wasn't as much talking, standing around with 30-minute interview with, like now. When we gave a brief interview, we got in the ring and we performed. That's what the people came to see, and that's what we did. And alongside doing that, they understood our style of wrestling. It wasn't just so much of a circus act with everybody just like doing a tightrope walk, flipping there all over the place. They could understand our style of wrestling, what we were trying to do, and that was pin our opponent. It wasn't all about, getting out to see how many flips that one can do, or how high that one guy can jump as opposed to the other. And our style of wrestling was something that people really enjoyed, and I think that they saw the camaraderie between the tag teams, like ourselves, Butch and I, and like the Steiners, and the Rock and Roll Express, and the Road Warriors, and they saw how we worked very hard, and we worked well together. And I think that people really saw that, and I think that's probably what's missing today when they look at it.
When you teamed with Butch as the team of Doom, who was your favorite tag team to be in the ring with?
Oh, man, that's real hard to answer, because I'll tell you what, I really enjoy wrestling against most all of them. I mean, like I said, the Road Warriors, man, of course, will speak for itself, big, tough, and we were probably the most matched with them. And when it came to as far as like size and athletic ability, I would have to say, being matched against them was probably the toughest as far as when it came to that. But it's really hard because all of them were very good opponents. I mean, Rock and Roll Express, fast, very good mat wrestlers, and they worked very well together. And they knew what their strengths and weaknesses were. They'd get in and out of the ring. They weren't trying to stay in there and manhandle myself or Butch by themselves. They tag in and out on, and which they should do, being undersized, and then with this time being the amateur backgrounds, so each of those teams, man, they had their own strengths, and they used them very well. So, it was real close. I'd have to say that would probably evenly match, but given the edge to like the Road Warriors when it came to being matched size-wise and athletic ability.
Now, you were able to do something that not a lot of people are able to do in the wrestling business, and that's to have two very successful tag team runs with two different partners, and at there's a big gap in between. Can you compare what it was like the early years teaming with Butch, and then later your run that you had with JBL as the APA?
Yeah, like I said, different eras and different styles of wrestling. I was fortunate enough, though, during my career to be able to get in and adapt to what the style of wrestling is today, and as opposed to back with Butch and I together, more brawling, more bulk, and more big guys as opposed to what you see now. But see, myself and Wood Bradshaw, we matched up very well, and him, like myself, had football background, already used to be, tough and brawling. So, and him also having had tours of Japan and Germany, we were able to adapt to different styles as well as myself. So that's what made us click very well. And also it didn't hurt that we got along very well as friends. So that really made it very, very successful. And I think, though, he and I probably of all of the tag team partners that I've been with, I think perhaps, though, that I really enjoyed being in APA, the most, because we hit on all cylinders, everything. We knew how each other thought in the ring. Without even having to say anything with each other, we knew when one was hurt and injured, and we were able to fill in the gaps for each other like that. So I really, really miss being in that tag team relationship with Bradshaw. We had a great time, man. He's a good partner.
We're joined on the line by wrestling legend Ron Simmons. I'll jump away from the tag team. Let's talk about the decision in '92 to when you went to becoming a singles wrestler. The decision to put the belt on you. How did that come about?
Well, actually, that was a total shock, and as you can see when you look back at the films, it was a shock to as far as myself and the fans as well, because Sting had gotten injured, I believe it was, and then there was just a drawing from the hat to see who was going to be Vader's opponent. And, my name came up. I was just showing up to the building to do a match somewhere, if not jerking the curtain, from the first match to the third, I believe it was. And then, lo and behold, my name was pulled to be in the match for Vader for the world title. And talking about an opportunity present itself. And I think that fortunate for me is that I was ready and prepared. And I see now what they mean by being ready at all times, because you never know when opportunity presents itself. And it did for me. And fortunately, I was ready, and the rest is history.
You had a very successful run with the title, and even after, as a singles wrestler, what brought about the end of your WCW run?
Oh, man, I had I had a ball. I have nothing to look back at that I can be unhappy with. I'm very fortunate to have been in it and last as long as I did, 27, 28 years, and which is a very long time in the wrestling business, man, I can tell you. And all of the guys that helped me along the way, like I said, I span different generations, so I was very fortunate to come through with the Hero Matsudas, the Dusty Rhodes, the Ric Flairs, the Orn, the Andersons, the Assassins, the Kendo Nagasakis, then to come up even with the Barbarian, and then to the newer generations with Hunter, Hurst, Helmsley, and with the Shawn Michaels, and the Undertaker. So I had a very good career, and I was very fortunate to have all those people along the way to help me, and it was a good ride.
Ron, last few questions, and I'll get you out of here. I want to talk about in '96 when you came in to the then WWF. You came in kind of with the gladiator look, and you were paired with Sonny. Talk about who came up with that idea and what that was like coming after all those years in the NWA, WCW, coming into WWF.
Well, actually, when Vince and I were sitting down talking about it, we wanted to try to do something to where it kind of blended with my background from like football and from also being in the tag team with Butch, and from just my general makeup and try to blend it into something that would be maybe acceptable to the people to give a picture of what my background was. And so couldn't think of something more, suitable than like the gladiator type of background, brawling, tough, no holds barred type of thing. And plus Sonny also being, very good as far as when it comes to microphone interviews and work, and we have good ring experience herself. And that's pretty much, what that idea and that premise for, to become like the gladiator type of gimmick came from, and then from there, of course, to go on into carry the name on into Farouk as far as when it led into with the Nation.
Did you enjoy doing the Nation of Domination angle?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And if you'll ask anyone, I think by far now, they'll tell you that if there's any factions out there that stands out and that will span that all throughout wrestling time that perhaps was the best, and that's the Pat, myself, and all the other guys on the back, Godfather, Savio Vega, Crush, Mark Henry, D'Lo Brown, and if you ask The Rock, and he'll tell you who got him started, it's the Nation.
Absolutely. Do you watch today's WWE product, or do you watch any of the TNA product at all?
Yes, I catch the show from time to time. Yes, I look at it now and look at the different ways, that I see that it is changed and the different styles of wrestling. Yes, I watch it from time to time. Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on the decision of WWE to go to a PG product?
No, man. I'm just interested, like most people, just to see just exactly how that's going to work. That's all I can really have to say with that, because I think just a matter of time, it's just going to be, it's what we're actually going to tell how that really works. I myself, like everyone else, is just interested in seeing how that's going to work out.
Is there any young wrestler that you see out there that you think has it or is right on the verge of tapping into something special?
To be quite honest with you, I really have not been looking at it that close. And to be honest with you, if there was at this point, I believe I would tell you. But I really just have not actually looked at one person that I actually saw that really just stands out to me, with that kind of premise and style that I look at to say that, this guy is going to go, far or do well, because everything now when I look at it, when the characters and everything, they all seem to be similar in style and size, and the gimmicks are gotten away from what it used to be. There was a character that fit all of the, emotions that people would look at in society, from when I was coming along. You had a barbarian, you had a tugboat, you had a clown, you had different characters when I was coming along that all the people of different emotions. Now you just see the guys coming down with just themselves and nothing really that people can just place a handle on to say this is this guy's character and this is what his demeanor is.
Ron, last question here. You are no stranger to being inducted into a Hall of Fame, with you being in the College Football Hall of Fame. With WrestleMania 27 next year in Atlanta, it'd be nice to see you go in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it would be nice, of course, like all Hall of Fames, there's some prestige. That's one of the most prestigious honors that you can bestow on anyone, and if that should happen, I'll be very flattered and honored, man. There's a lot of great guys that have gone in there, and you don't get into there, brother, without a lot of hard work and having a lot of respect, from your comrades and from your partners and from, everyone that will vote on that. So if that should happen, I will be very honored.
Come the springtime, when I'm sitting in that arena on that Saturday night in Atlanta, I hope that your name will be called and you'll be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, because if anyone deserves it, I think it's you. I appreciate you taking out the time to give me a few minutes here.
Well, I certainly appreciate you having me on, man, and I'm glad that during the years that I was able to provide some entertainment for you, and that's very flattering of you to say that, that in some ways that I helped you out and that you looked up to me in some ways that That means a lot. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate the time today. Thanks so much.
Good luck to you.